Hello. So, this is chapter 4 of our adoption journey, which is called Counting the Cost. So, many people want to know, well, how much did your adoption cost? And the answer to that is it just varies. It depends on what state you're living in, it depends on the attorney you use, it depends on so many things. So, I'm just going to tell you what I experienced and how much our cost was. So, my first adoption was through a licensed adoption agency. The adoption was domestic, which means it was here in the United States. It was in a different state than the state that I was residing in. So, we had to travel to go pick up baby. The agency ended up giving us an estimate of the fees that included also estimates of unnamed competitors. So the estimate that they gave us, it listed out their estimate, and then it says here's other licensed adoption agencies, and here are the estimate of their prices, just so we can compare just different agency to agency. Um, so we actually ended up paying the first lump sum, which was 18,200, but they had a military discount going on, which was $1,000 off. And that was for marketing and advertising our profile on various websites that expecting mothers would be looking at when they are ready or when they make the decision that they are going to adopt. And then we paid around $800 for our home study. And then there were additional fees inside the home study, like a background check, fingerprints, and things like that. And that was probably an additional, I would say, around 200 to 300 per person. So for my husband and myself. Also, during the home study, if there were any safety issues that were found, then we needed to get those corrected. So, if there was anything that you needed to purchase for that safety discrepancy, then that was another expense. And one of our discrepancies that were found in the home study was we were lacking carbon monoxide detectors throughout the house. So we just ended up purchasing them from Lowe's to actually complete the write up of our home study so that we had no discrepancies. So next we paid for the expecting mother attorney fees, and we also paid for any expecting mother fees or necessities, and then post placement fees, which includes things like counseling if she wanted to, or additional resources that she may need following the birth of the baby. So, expecting mom fees could look like utilities, rent, food, clothes, things of that nature. And all that together, um, let's see, came out to be around 77.50. And then we paid for our own attorney. So you have to have an attorney that represented us as well. So our attorney was around 5,600. Those were the receipts that I counted up. I think I was missing one receipt, and I want to say it was like 8,000 for our attorney. But what I did count up was around 5,600. So the total for our first adoption came out to be around 30 to 33,000 dollars. So yes, that was the first adoption, and that was a good roundabout total of all the receipts that I could find. So the expenses that are not included in that total, as I mentioned before, because we lived in a different state than the expecting mother, we had to travel to go get babies. So we're talking about if you lived driving distance, then you would have to drive, and that would be gas. But we didn't live in driving distance, so we had to fly. So we had to pay for our flight there and back. And then we had to pay for a hotel stay and food and expenses like that. And let's not forget a stroller and a car seat. And things like that. So we had to pay for all those little things that, come along with having a baby, but we had to go get the baby as well. And we didn't want to travel with a stroller and a car seat because it would just look weird. So we actually ended up having to purchase those things once we got to the state where the expecting mother was giving birth at. So, and one other thing I forgot to mention is during the waiting process of first baby, our home study ended up expiring after a year. So you have to think about that. If the social worker says your home study is only good for 1 year or 18 months or something and then expires, then you have to get it renewed. So we ended up having to pay a fee to get our home study renewed, which means there is another walkthrough, and she basically updates anything from the prior home study. So that was another expense. So that is all I have for the first adoption. So if you want to know how we financed our first adoption, if you want to know, did the agency or attorney offer any kind of payment plans or anything like that, or did they require lump sums up front, or any other questions you can think of concerning the financial part of our first adoption, just drop them in the comments and I will answer your questions. Stay tuned for part 2.